What case? Standardization. I wonder with the element that you have, the situation that you are right now. Hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And even tell your homies, yo, I got Mr. A11, hello. Right now. Brother J3 collection in the building.
Official Major World Online. Go to Brand Life the Koza and have us live.
Oh my goodness. Shawana, love you. I don't like seeing myself on camera.
That man, why ain't you about that? If we touch you, that means you're gonna go to Facebook and Instagram and say yo hot. And then from now on, we're gonna be part of this, man. It's a we thing now. But when we're going worldwide, this is why it's an official major world. Hashtags. Hashtags. Better recognize. I got the A team in the building. Oh. 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 Yo. Yeah. I need a hashtag. 360 gishi. Ice. Who's it? The truth is on fleek. The truth is live. The truth is unscripted. Oh.
Take a shot with the
hey.
Take a shot, nigga, shoot.
Hey,
niggas ain't afraid of me. What's with this weather shit?
Hey, you know what? This is like exercise for my college.
Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy A11 and we back again on Official Major World Online. The hardest, the freshest online radio show on the planet right now. Yeah, I got my boy Diboy Mashesha. How are you, brother?
Mashesha, the truth Mashesha, Diboy Mashesha, baby. Hit me up, man. Hit me up. Hit us up. Official Major World, we're live and unscripted. And now I'm on another level, winner.
Hey, brother, you had the songs that were playing before here. Hey, Tim.
By Mr. McLean, before that, Mr. Ayanda YPK Ride. It's one of the new tracks from his upcoming EP, and the show with Mr. Chevy Raw, Official Major World, man. Right now!
Shout out to the people that are showing us love with it, to even the guys who are sending us music.
Sure.
But the thing is, we're going to go Official Major World. You know we the plug
right now.
Yeah. How was your weekend, brother?
You know my weekend. Can I quickly just mention this, man? I'm stuck. I'm stuck for now. And so, in terms of what I do for a living, it's okay for me to watch a lot of telly. And at the same time, personally, what we're gonna talk about today, which is mediocrity and content and being content with yourself. So why get you so on? Is because of when I watch the gram, when I watch, I'm a big fan of Wendy Williams. Everybody knows by now, but I discovered something. I think Wendy Williams, she hasn't been on the show for the past 2 months because of something's happening with the husband and all that. So I was watching telly, I'm watching the gram, and I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of trash, but at the same time, it's very good. It intrigues a lot of people. I was also watching. There's this show called It's Spicy. Ratch. Best thing I can mention, and so there's this moment where it's like the concept of you see Jerry Springer, and then you air out all your dirty laundry, and then people are like yeah, and then now you come to that person who are like yeah, and I'm like, okay, now this is happening in South Africa. I'm like, okay, it's good because of it's more black oriented television, but isn't yeah, Mzansi, no, Moja Love. Oh, Moja Love is the worst. Moja Love is the worst. It's pop health and all of that and so on. So why I'm saying mediocrity and content is because of I'm thinking okay, we have all these opportunities us as black people, but the problem is this what we need right now to elevate where we're at right now consciously?
Yeah.
Sure. So that was my weekend for now. Sure. But also you need to mention the guest that's in the studio,
obviously.
Brother J3.
What's up, people? What up?
AKA Justin. Is it better I call you that or J3?
J3's cool.
Hashtag.
Yeah. Also J3.
Yeah, that's it.
Hello.
And actually, you know what? I said hello, but I was supposed to say it differently. Dumela.
Dumela.
Hello. You know, I'm excited about it because you didn't say Sawubona. We've had enough of Sawubona. Dumelang, hashtag.
Good thing.
Aish. But I was like, your weekend.
That's good. It's been good.
You were telling me earlier on that you're in the process of getting an apartment. Yeah? So that means like you content with South Africa.
I mean, there's been some ups and downs, but for the most part, I'm loving the energy in Joburg.
It's a hashtag.
Absolutely.
Is it because of the lifestyle, or like you gain something since you came to South Africa?
Yeah, I'm still learning the lifestyle and just the people overall, but just being in the continent of Africa, it's my first time, so it's a spiritual journey for me.
Yeah.
So every day, I've been here, and every day I wake up, I say to myself, I'm in Africa. Like it's just,
No, bro, like
motherland.
you're home. You're home.
Motherland.
yeah, it's almost like I feel like I'm at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so-
you know, and I'm sure one of the reasons, or maybe the main reason that you're so excited about that is because of as a black person, like being in the States, it's not the same as when you're here at the motherland. And based on what I was speaking about earlier on, like isn't it right now it's like Black History Month in the States, in Canada, and I think in the UK. And the content that's being put out, because we also have our own public holidays, which is Youth Day, Freedom Day, but I have a problem with right now when we celebrate it, we don't celebrate it in the manner like, I feel like when we celebrate it, we need to know what how did that day originate, who are the main pillars that created that day, and how can we live with that, how can you live with the same ideologies but in a common day lifestyles each and every day. So this is why I was so pissed or touched with what I was watching, because of like it's you know, like everybody's entitled to their own opinion in terms of what they do for a living, but like right now we need more content that helps us to forget, not to forget where we come from.
If you look at something like Black History Month, I think that's just more so of a commercialization of our history, because Black history is every day. It's not just designated to just 1 month, and it's not just designated to just a few icons that they've taught us as kids, whether it's Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, and it pretty much stops there. But I think as time goes on, you know, and with the advent of the internet, people are realizing there's a lot more out there, and not just within the confines of America. So I think when it comes to Black history, it's just not 1 month. Again, that's just the commercialization of it, and there's just so much out there, whether it's American history, African history, European history. There's blacks all over.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm finding just in the month of February, the history of South Africa, I'm learning a lot. I didn't know I wasn't black out here. I'm colored.
Yeah.
Apparently, right? So that's something that was a bit of a culture shock to me.
Right.
You know, because in America, you don't want to call anyone colored. It's offensive. But out here, it's a culture. But from my point of view, I'm a black man. So just learning, you know, just the different ways that people view us as a people, that's history. You know, and I think history is also understanding the present. So it's just a lot than just Black History Month. And I think with social media and content, it's very cliche to have the hashtags and the funny memes about Black history.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that's one thing we're really good at, is making comedy out of things that have
Serious.
been very serious and sad for the most part. You know,
And also, can I check quickly, just add, like, have you ever taken those DNA tests whereby it mentions that you're from Nigeria, you're half Nigerian, half Gabonese?
I'm a little worried about taking a DNA test.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want the U.S. government having my DNA. Personally.
I feel you.
But you know, it's interesting that you asked that question. This was years ago. We had an event in Los Angeles called the African Marketplace, and this is where you can really get entrenched in African culture. And there was this lady at a booth, and it was with a couple of friends of mine, and she says, you know, hey, where are you guys from? And so a buddy of mine was like, I'm from LA, I'm from Carson. You know, we're just various cities in Los Angeles. She says, no, where are you from? And we're kind of confused. confused. Like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And she starts looking at it. She says, you're from Ghana. You're from Kenya. And she basically was identifying what our origin was based on our features. And it really hit me because, for a long time, people thought Africa was just one country, right? And there's
homogenous people.
Yeah, and there's thousands of languages and cultures and different, like just even within South Africa, even within Soweto. I mean, there's just all these different vibes and cultures.
Yeah.
So I think getting that information from a griot, is what we call it, a historian, to me holds more substance than someone taking a saliva swab, because I don't want to see a clone of myself in 50 years. There's no telling what they could do with my DNA, so I'm cool on that.
And like with that, like mentioning your experience in South Africa, like merging what you do for a living, which is photography, like is there something that you on the process of doing in terms of uplifting us the black consciousness?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think coming here, there was a sense in just talking with people, there's this notion that Americans come to a country and try to exploit the culture, right? And then go back and try to bring something cool because they learn something. I'm here to learn. I'm here to adapt and to understand the culture. That's why I'm not just here for a week to kick it with the cool kids and then go back to LA. I'm here to really understand what the vibe is and what's going on, because I see a future in South Africa in terms of culture, in terms of hip hop, in terms of fashion, in terms of music, because I think what's happening is people are waking up and realizing LA, London, New York, and Paris aren't just the cool spots anymore. Right? And there's a whole nother world out there, and what's happening is you're starting to see people come here, oh, I've been to Joburg, or I come to Afropunk, and then they leave. But how many people actually want to stay and really get a sense of what the lifestyle is? So that's why I'm here, to really just really find myself. This is more than just a career move. This is a spiritual journey for me. So that's why I'm here, and particularly in Joburg, it's pretty serendipitous how I actually ended up in this particular city. So it's God's plan. I'm here by divine intervention. If we have time today, and I tell you the story how I got here, it's pretty wild.
Most definitely. We'll make the best in terms of making some time for that. But the thing is that the other thing I want to mention is, like, in regards to your experience here. Like, is there anything that you've seen like that resonates with you in terms of that also happens that side in the States since you've been there?
In terms of similarities?
Yeah, similarities amongst us black people.
In terms of similarity, I think that there's just this common brotherhood and sisterhood that we have as black people. I think that it's apparent that we are under attack as a people, and there are ways politically, socially, economically, where they're trying to obliterate us, and they're trying to create this narrative of us as enemies. But when you really get down to the root of it, there's this connection. What I love about being out here is that the eye contact that I get with a lot of people out here, there's this sense of brotherhood and love and speaking to someone without having a lot of dialogue. It's just, hey, what's up, my brother? And a lot of times they don't know that I'm from the States. It's just a connection. And I think that narrative gets diluted with black on black crime, or blacks and coloreds, dark skin, light skin. There's always this narrative that tries to separate, but in reality we have this common
there's
bond.
oneness. Well, the thing that I've discovered when I study the States, because I'm a staunch student of the States, because I feel like they are ideological motherland here in South Africa. So, like, what I've discovered is that in America they are very good in terms of dividing everything. So there's right wing politics, there's left wing politics. In that left wing politics, they'll be called liberal, and some will be called left leaning, like the Green Party, and then there'll be right wing. There's the Tea Party, and after the Tea Party, there's also conservatives. Like there's a lot of division that is unnecessary. It's just like what they did here in Africa, because as you mentioned, like there are different types of, because like I was researching, they said you see in the sides of Sudan, Kenya, there are the Nilotes, and then the other side with the Bantu speaking, we are the descendants of the Bantus, you know. And the thing is that what I've discovered in terms of like the African diaspora, be it in South Africa or in the States or anywhere in the world, I've noticed that all of us, the millennials, we've forgotten that element of no, now it's more or less like, oh, you listen to the same track, oh, you also listen to Anderson .Paak, and we'll be like, oh man, let's chill out together, you know, like even especially hip hop, but now hip hop is now bigger than rock now. Because I was watching the Grammys last week, and I noticed like hip hop really got like a huge platform yesterday, last week. So it's like, you know what, us as the African diaspora, be it you from Africa or from that side, it's just an element of us getting things that make us unite more seldom, and never rather say more often, because like you see things like Afro-punk, it's an element that assists us. It's just that we need more of things that make us to live this life each and every day, you know, because you don't just have one supposed to be black and love being black, but we forget that this is an everyday thing.
It's absolutely every day, and it is not just when there's a struggle or when something bad happens. You know, that's again the narrative where we come together. You know, when you hear about the Trayvon Martins, or you hear about the Eric Gardners, you hear about, you know, someone being victimized, and we want to come together, and we need to just start celebrating each other, just in the beauty of just the fact that we're here and we exist. And I'm noticing that with the younger generation is that there's this sense of hunger for a connection and substance, and so I think that it's there. But I think having the dialogue and the communication and finding ways to keep that communication abroad, I think that's where we're going. You know, since I've been here, I've been having this conversation with my brothers, like, you know, in America, when it comes to international travel, there's this sense of, I want to go to Europe, I want to go to Paris, I want to go to London, but no one really talks about coming to Africa, you know. And I think if we, as the younger generation and the hip hop generation, start having that conversation about, this is where you need to be. You need to come to Joburg. You need to come to Soweto, Cape Town, different parts of Africa, Nairobi. I was just reading an article the other day. Aiko, you hear about, he's like trying to build his own city in Sudan, like, you know, trying to create his own currency. Like, we need to pick up on that information, read about it, learn about it, because that's one thing that we do as a generation. When we find something and we think it's cool, we create a currency out of it that just goes beyond just being black. It's a worldly thing. So I think that as long as we continue to have that kind of narrative and understand our power, then we can start taking control over just the entertainment aspect of what we do, because we have power behind our culture, whether it's through music or fashion or radio, all those things. So I think, you know, having a platform like this, you bringing me on this radio station, you know, there's folks out there in Los Angeles that are gonna watch this, and you know, and that's the thing, is let's bring it back. You know, I want to tell everybody in LA all my experiences in South Africa, and this is where you need to go. And so then when you go to LA, I'm gonna give you all the list of places and people you need to see, so you can get the real black experience and not just the Hollywood experience.
And it's crazy though, because they're trying to bash that. Even like I was watching some commercial. There was a guy, the girl from the side, Numuzi. She went to LA, New York, so she was like interviewing people randomly at the streets. They asked them, have you been to Johannesburg? Crazy talk, like there's people from that side who don't even know it's like the South Africa. You ask them if like there's Africa, it's like, oh, there's monkeys there, there's like lions, you know. Like
It's
for real,
2019.
like it's 2019.
Damn,
like,
2019.
Come to South Africa
What
and
the
check
hell?
what we got. We got official major world, dog. Like we.
Right.
Google comes from there, Facebook comes from there, but you don't know damn Africa, man. Shame on you people.
Yeah, it's funny because I think a majority. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I don't necessarily take a census, but I would think that majority of my associates and my peers, as Black people, we know that Africa is more than just political uprisings and fathom and you know. But then again, you know, you look at TV. I was just talking to my brother the other day. You look at, you know, what we're exposed to. You know, obviously television is what we see. Like where you look at LA culture, you see dudes in white tees pointing guns. So there's this narration that we just walking around with guns shooting each other. Where we look at hip hop videos, we might see dudes walking around with wild coyotes and chains, but that doesn't mean that that's just what South Africa is about. You know, so I think that, you know, I knew before I got here that this country was advanced. You know, and one thing that I picked up on, and it's humbling and it's also a little bit embarrassing, is that as an American, I don't know everything that I need to know about this country. But a lot of brothers and sisters that I talk to out here, they know so much about my country. They know about the politics. They know about just so much. And it's making me realize that as Americans, we tend to get caught up and spoiled into just what we are accustomed to. And so I think that, you know, for me, I want to be an ambassador of that. I want to let people know like how dope it is out here.
Yeah.
And a lot of cats out here are not just living in
huts
and you know, man, I'm in Joburg. I'm like, dude, this Lamborghini car dealerships,
I'm on the iPhone
Mercedes,
in
and I
Joburg.
mean, people out here are balling.
Everything. We got everything.
Mentioning that, I want to ask, like, ever since like you came this side and you had the experience, like one thing you regret. Like,
One thing I regret,
Yeah.
in my career, or just,
now, like just being from America, thinking that you know, like, my roots, where I come from, but then coming this side, realizing that actually there's more to learn, you know.
I would, again, I think part of what I would regret is just not knowing a lot about the culture.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that there were so many languages in Joburg. You know, I never heard of. I'm practicing that sound. You know, that just all that information.
We must go partying also. We must go partying.
Hey, let's go.
You know, I'll show you. You know, like.
Hey, let's go. I'm trying to embrace it all. But the fact that I could come to a country and everyone here, you know, can speak English, but they know other languages. Where in America we speak English. You might know a little Spanish, you know, but that's about it. You know, and so that part of it is humbling.
Yeah.
And it's since I've been here, it's not so much regret, but it made me realize that I have a lot of learning
To give. And also to give, you know, to your society, that side. And also like in your career, like any regrets that you have so far?
Regrets in my in my career?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. You know, there's one that it kind of haunts me a little bit.
Yeah.
I do have a regret. I had an opportunity. This happened maybe about 3-4 years ago. I had a studio in downtown LA, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, I want to bring this guy to your studio. You know, he likes your work and he wants to talk about working with you. So he wants to come in." And I said, "Okay, yeah, you know, bring him to the studio." And so he comes to the studio. And we're talking. He's like, "Man, I really love your work, and you know your stuff is really dope. You know, do you do video? Do you do music video?" Nah, I don't do music videos. You know, I just immediately was like, I don't want to touch that. I do photography. But it ended up being for SZA.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brother by the name of Punch from TD came to my studio. And essentially asked me if I wanted to do a video for SZA.
Hashtag.
And I was like, I don't do video.
Yeah.
As opposed to just saying, yeah, I do it and then figuring it out on the way.
Yeah.
But since then, I've obviously watched her career just go off the charts, and I've never had a chance to work with her.
Yeah.
And there could be a lesson for like limiting yourself, you know.
Yeah.
As a human being, you need to understand that you can do anything. Like not just because of you love taking pictures, doesn't mean that you can explore and start taking videos and see what it can take you, you know.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, for one, it's a mode on the camera. You know, you can switch it. A lot of people don't. Actually, I learned video while I was on tour with Miguel. I didn't know anything about video. I didn't know how to edit. I had a T3i. I didn't even have a really big, major camera.
Yeah.
But I would be in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And I'd go on YouTube and look up how to edit Final Cut. You know, and I learned how to do video while I was on a world tour.
Seriously.
Yeah.
With
So
Miguel, bruh.
Hashtag. and I also discovered that you used to be a mortgage consultant. So was that like your corporate job, or
the corporate world and just the social behavior of that industry
didn't vibe with you?
It took a huge toll on me.
Yeah, because I remember there's a mentor of yours who passed on, based on like the when he was teaching you, and then things got too much for him or her.
Oh, my mentor.
Yeah.
Man, you read about that?
Nigga be stalking you, man.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Y'all be research. It's crazy. Yeah, so I had an internship. I worked with an accounting firm called Deloitte and Touche.
Yeah, I know.
They're worldwide.
Yeah,
one of the hugest accounting firms in the world. I was 17, and this was at the height of what they called affirmative action back in Los Angeles, and this is where companies were required to hire minorities and women and give them working opportunities.
It's like how Obama got his shot.
Yeah, but Obama was he had the swag. I don't think he needed affirmative action. He just had it. He got it. But essentially, I think affirmative action and just a lot of the struggles allotted Obama to have that opportunity. But in this situation, it's a gentleman, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned it because I could say his name on air. I never mentioned it. His name was Alfred Morales. He was 27 at the time. He dressed really well. Just a really cool dude.
Yeah.
Really, really cool dude. He was my mentor. And, I had a hard time adjusting to the workplace. I had to dress different. I had to talk different. And he was the guy that I can go to and try to get a understanding of why. And he told me, one day I'll tell you how I really feel about working in corporate America. And he was supposed to take me to the Laker game. The Staples Center had just finished being built. It was the very first Laker game.
One.
The new one.
It was after the showtime.
The very first game, and he didn't show up for work, and I didn't understand why. So the next day, they called me in. I thought I was getting fired because they're like, Mr. Jackson, we need to talk to you. So I'm thinking I'm in trouble.
Nice when you say that.
Yeah, so I go in there and they're like, Alfred's not coming back. I was like, why? And so come to find out, he had killed himself. He shot himself. And then the next day, I go back into work, and they just introduced me to another black guy. Like, here's your new mentor. Didn't even counsel me, didn't talk to me about the situation.
Savage.
And they just kind of just brushed them off.
Yeah.
And that it weighed on me to this day. To this day, every year I always take time to try to find his family.
Yeah.
But I never had any luck with it. But it just rubbed me the wrong way, the way that they handled that situation.
Yeah.
And it terrified me because here's a guy who I saw who, handsome guy, had a beautiful girl, dressed well. He had everything that I envisioned of what I wanted.
Yeah.
And he took his life.
Yeah.
And so that's where I value my passion more than being popular or making a lot of money. I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
And so it took me away from the corporate side.
I feel you.
And I found myself loving the arts.
And working with such notable acts, be it your Jhene's and Miguel's, like something I've discovered, like with my time when I have self-reflection, I've discovered that most of us, especially like considering with all the media that we have, you bound to have insecurities one way or another, be it from what you see on the gram and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I would make, and this is how people like Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson or all these celebrities, this is how they commit suicide. It's not necessarily that, you know, like they hate life and all that, but the thing is that, you know, everybody has so much expectations from you, and you also have so much expectations from yourself. But at the same time, you forgot where your place is in society, you know. Hence I was saying, like, all the mediocrity, but are you content with yourself? You know. So like, what I wanted to ask is, all the artists that you do have on your phone book, like right now, like, would you say like most of them, they have insecurities just like us, especially like as you mentioned that when you're on the come up, like you go through so much you go through so much struggle, but when you start when the ching starts rolling in, there's nobody's gonna sit you down and say, you know what, this is how you're supposed to stay, you spend your money, especially like, you know, us as black people, most of us, we don't go to therapy, you know, and therapy is essential just for you to know your place in society, even though you're telling a stranger, but that's the job, is for them to understand what's happening with you.
Oh, absolutely. I think every human on this planet has some form of insecurity. It's just how do they manage and cope with it.
I feel you.
You know, and that's where the vices come in, and it's interesting that we're talking about it in terms of mental health, because a lot of people are secretly and quietly dealing with that. You know, I've had my moments. I still have my moments of insecurities and asking myself, am I good enough? Am I really this dope photographer that people claim me to be? Then why don't I have this, or why haven't I seen this? And what happens is you tend to forget some of the accolades, and so you have to. It's more than just having self-confidence. You really have to surround yourself, and even for celebrities, a lot of celebrities that I've worked with, you know, they definitely have their insecurities as well. But it's who you surround yourself with. You have to have people that are around you, to when they recognize that you're in your low, they got to remind you how dope you are, and pick you up, because you can't do it on your own. You know, and sometimes, you know, having a relationship with God, or however you have, whatever your belief system is, that is extremely important. It's imperative. But I think synonymous with that, you have to have people by your side to remind you, because it's very easy for you to forget. And if you look at social media as a tool, if you post something as a photographer, if you post something and you expecting 100 likes and you only get 3, that does not mean that photograph isn't dope. You know, you have to remember that. You have to remind yourself that you can't measure your value based on how society responds to it. You know, it's called an intrinsic value. You have to really ask yourself, why do you do what you do? Whether it's photography, videography, radio, acting, what made you do it in the first place?
Are you content with yourself?
And you have to be content with that, and be happy with yourself doing it, and not expect other people to have that same response. You know, and that goes for musicians as well. That's why a lot of musicians and you know, and we have these vices, whether it's alcoholism, drugs, you know, and we rely on that, and that's why we're starting to lose a lot of our icons. You know, and we're so hard on each other, especially as a people, as black folks. We will get on your ass when you mess up. You know, and that could take a toll on you. That can mess with your psyche. So I think mental health, I think is important to discuss on a creative plateau. Is you have to always remind yourself, even at your lowest point, ask yourself why you did it in the first place.
Yeah.
Knowing your true self. I feel like if you know your true self and why you're doing everything that you're doing, and like the passion that you're following, like it will give you confidence in you. Like before you go to the next person, like you do a song right now and you tell yourself why I did this song, and I'm good at this song, and this is the best song. And then when you drop it out, like you're not expecting, you just have to be in balance. You have to understand that there's people who are gonna critique you, and there's the people who are gonna tell you this song is dope, you know.
Yeah, you gotta be able to accept criticism. You know, if you're willing to take the risk of being a creative entrepreneur, you have to be able to accept criticism. Everyone's not gonna like your shit.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean
there's some people that just don't like my work.
Yeah.
Bad blood. And it's not a bad blood. Let's not do that, people, man. It's a we thing. It's not a my thing. It's a we thing. On so like hashtag.
But then I wanted to ask, and then, like I was checking on your profile,
Uh-huh.
and then I realized, good to like the people you work with. It's like it's not specifically musicians or artists. Like it's just different people. Like how do you pick people
Yeah.
to work on your project?
Energy.
Energy.
It's energy. Even with music, the musicians that I work with, it's the energy. I don't go just off of who's the hottest thing. The people that I worked with, like Miguel, Jhene, Anderson Paak, BJ the Chicago Kid, Ro
shout
James,
out.
Jesse Boy. I can go on and on.
Yo,
and on.
hello.
I could go on and on and on. But
Hashtag.
it's energy a lot, and a lot of them I've been able to establish really adequate friendships with them, and it's an energy, and I like to understand and embrace who they are as a people, and that's what helps me create the image of them, is because I understand them. It's not just because it's the cool thing to do. And even with models, or whomever, everyone that I photograph, I see something iconic in them.
Yeah.
Every person I put in front of my camera, I see them as an icon, because that's really who we are as a people. We are kings and queens. We are the closest to the sun. We are everything that everyone aspires to be. So my job is to capture that and to showcase that to where I don't have to even tell you that. You just feel it.
Yeah.
And if I don't accomplish that, then I didn't do my job as a photographer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the color correction, doesn't matter how I retouch it, doesn't matter what's in the background, doesn't even matter what camera I use. At the end of the day, if I see who's in front of my camera as an icon, then that's who they are, and that's what I want to project in my imagery.
Yeah. And then the studio, like when you formed the studio, obviously it wasn't easy, because I remember I read that you had to sell your car.
More than my car. I've had to sacrifice, to really to
Jhene, hello.
I mean, it's an opportunity cost. I had a choice to make. Do I sit in a cubicle and just look at
And you just keep on being
walls,
miserable,
Yeah, and
just
be a
keep on
robot.
miserable.
Do I be a robot knowing I'm getting paid every 2 weeks? I know I'm getting paid every 2 weeks. But my soul wasn't
happy.
fulfilled. I wasn't happy.
Suicide.
The happiest times of my life has been the brokest times of my life.
True.
That's when I'm happy. I've had a lot of money but couldn't sleep. That is the worst feeling, when you can't sleep. When you're dead tired and you can't sleep, it's not a good feeling. And so but when you decide to take that leap of faith, you're gonna have your moments, and the devil is gonna be right there trying to make you give up. He's gonna make you give up. He's gonna make you break. He's gonna break you financially. He's gonna break you physically. Emotionally, he will break you, and that's where your whatever your spiritual belief is. Okay, mine is God, right? As long as I have to, and again, when I forget that He's there and He has my back, I have friends next to me to remind me that God has a plan for me. Then I just got to keep fighting. But it's gonna be hard, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. If everyone could just buy a digital camera and just start shooting their favorite artists, then everybody would do it.
This is why there's only 1% of people who own the wealth, and the other So you hear from the brother J3. The thing is that 1 hour.
Good things come to an end.
I wish you were like shows like that side, whereby it can be like a 4-hour show. But here we're just doing it for 1 hour for now. But Cali better recognize Official Major World, man. So in terms of what you got in store for the coming months or this year, like.
And how many artists have you worked with in South Africa since you came so far?
How many artists? Actually, in music artists, I haven't, and I've done that for a reason.
Okay.
I didn't want to come here immediately, start name dropping all the people I worked with, and say, hey, okay, I want to work with the hottest and latest artists. Right? I want to come and embrace the culture. I want to respect the fact that there's people already out here doing what I do. Right? So right now, I'm just here learning. I'm visiting a country that is amazing to me, and there's a lot for me to learn. So rather than me just coming in here pulling some Hollywood shit, saying, "Oh, well, I want to work with this person," I got time. I got time. I just want to learn. I want to get the, as my man like to say, the lay of the land. You know,
Hello.
I want to pick up the vibe. But I'm looking forward to working with some dope artists. You know, and then it doesn't have to be a big name artist. If you are an unsigned artist, J3 Collection. That's everything. My Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. J3, J, the number 3 Collection, no S.
Hashtag is the truth. Hashtag liberations. Hashtag passions pushed, man. And so official measure well. Aye, standardizations on fleek. Thank you, Mr. 11.
Thank you, Bafeti. You know, you heard it from J3 Collection, the man himself at Official Major World Online, Bafeti. But you know, good things come to an end. Next week. No, I was gonna say it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Bafeti. It's A11.alone. Twitter, A11.alone. Facebook, A11.alone.
Shap.
Mr. Diboy Mashesha, the truth Mashesha, Mashman Mashesha, Diboy Mashesha on Facebook, Instagram, it's Diboy Mashesha. Even on YouTube, hit me up, it's Diboy Mashesha. Hey, shkida unforeseen. This is why you call it unscripted television, unscripted radio. Patience Pushed, Official Major World. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, official.major world, Twitter, it's official major W1. Also on YouTube, subscribe and like. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, official major world. Hashtag. We'll see you next week. Booyah!
And we out.
A11.